So go ahead and introduce yourself, your name, and where you were born and where you grew up.
My name is Fatafehi Vailea. Uh, I was born in Homa Tongatapu. Came up here to the United States in 1979. I was about maybe 7 years old. Um, we ended up, it was me, my mother, and my sister and my brother. We all came up here as a young kid. Didn't know one word of English. Same thing with my parents. Started kindergarten, and we ended up staying in with my aunt in her garage in San Mateo, California. Ended up starting elementary school. Me and my siblings. Yeah.
So, how was life when you first arrived to America?
When as I remember, as growing up as a 7 year old, it was really tough because growing up now, we just came from Tonga, didn't have any money. My dad is now starting to find a little job as a janitor, getting a little bit of money. But as I recall, it was really tough because we were poor in America. A Tongan kid coming from Tonga, was growing up. And then, now my father's making a little bit of money, just like the Mikos doing janitorial work, and my mother was doing hotel work. I can recall, man, as a 7 year old, or now I'm like maybe 8, 9 year old. I'm going to school, and we didn't have nice clothes like everyone else. We ended up getting free clothes from the Salvation Army. Other kids. And I remember so well, man. I think I was a jerk at that time. I wish I could take it back. My dad used to have this beat up station wagon, man, and we would all get in the station wagon and we would go to school and everybody would come in with nice Cadillacs. And I was like, man, felt so embarrassed. Like, that my dad is coming in here with a big old beat up, station wagon, and I guess that's what it, that's how it is when you're growing up as a Tongan kid. It's rough, you know what I mean, and but we went through it. My father, took us to school every morning, and that's why I recall I used to tell him, hey man, just drop us off here at the corner right here. So I didn't want all my friends to see like, what kind of car my dad had. But I was a real jerk at that time, man. But you gotta understand as a kid, it was poor.
So, the story you're about to tell us, who is this about?
Well, it's a story about my father. And my father is a really religious guy, person, and I really looked up to him. He we started at a church called Hillsdale Methodist Church. All the Tongans would have their session in the morning, and the Palangis would have it at night. And so my father didn't really like that. And him and another Faifekao, they got together and say, hey man, let's try to get our own stuff because all the Palangis are taking up all the time. Like we would giving us leftover time. So my father and one of the pastors there decided to get all some of the members to say, hey man, we let's go and get our own church. So they got a little bit of money. Now this is back in the days, and money is hard to get. So they raise up some money, and boom, they find a church. It's in Belmont, California, and they bought it. They bought it together. My dad was since they bought it. My dad is the Setwata, the first steward in English at that church. Now they needed a name, so what best thing is so they went and they asked the princess Pilolevu to come and bless the church. And then the Pilolevu came. I'll never forget it came, and she doesn't go to very few things, and she gave it a name, and so it's called Falehu Fanga. And the meaning of that Falehu Fanga is for anybody that's like homeless or anybody needs a place to come. They're welcome to come to that church. And my father he was really proud of that church, and yeah, he's the first Setuata there, and and as today I'm still there as a member of that church. Yeah.
All right, you can go ahead and tell us about this story.
Yeah, the story is about my dad. My dad was nothing was important but religion to him, and he he every time I can never forget as a kid growing up. The story was we every year he would they have Misnale and my every all the Tongans. If you're West Indiana, you know what it mean when he is Misnale is when you give 10% and you he would give all our little money. Now keep in mind we're growing up as a poor Tongan and it's hard. Money comes out hard, and so I see my father giving this money every year, and I just get mad. I just get angry. Like, dude, you work so hard. I just couldn't understand. We and then one year he became now the Seiya. He's like the honorable guest, and the story was um it kind of changed my life in a way of that I was thinking about. I miss that. Um, one year, my father is now the Seiya for the first time. It means honorable guest, and um, I got us together one day, and he says, I've got a little, I make a little bit of money now, and to help the family out, and um, he says, you know what, guys, I need you guys to, we need to raise at least maybe close to $6,000, and we ended up, raising the money 6,000, and my father, and I remember it real well that he was going to give this money, and then again he was like he wanted to teach me and my siblings something that it always stuck with me, and yeah, and that year we gave everything, every single dime, and we went there, we had the celebration, and we came home. I'll never forget that feeling of like, man, what are we gonna eat tomorrow? What are we gonna do until like we get some more money? And I cried, man. I literally cried, and you know what, man? The next morning, my dad gets a call or somebody knocks at the door, and bam, just like all this food showed up, and I'm like, where did all this food come up? It was somebody just finished a wedding and they had leftover food and they brought it to us. And then I was like, man, and then all of a sudden, um, things just like kind of changed. It was like I thought that we didn't have anything, but God just kind of blessing us with just people, just random things just started happening to my family that
So tell us the significance of this story.
yeah, and the more of the story was, yeah, things just started happening. Salvation Army, they started bringing us food. Man, all of a sudden we had money. Like, so, uh, it was a time that I kind of broke down and thought about my faith and stuff. And my father, the moral of the story was my father wanted to teach me and my brothers and my sisters that that means rely on God with everything that you need. He will provide everything, and that was just a test of our faith of giving up all our life savings, everything that we had, every single dime. I'll never forget it. And He will still be there. He'll still take care of you, and that's the moral of a Tongan is their belief with Jesus Christ or God that que falala it's just rely on Him for everything that He'll take care of you, and that's what my father and ever since then I never miss I miss Nale at all. No matter if it's $5 or $1,000, I would give up my 10% every year, and I know that when I give, I remember that story my father gave me. I have no worries. I'll give up everything, and I know God will still love. And one thing stick with my mind is that my father used to always say for uh, for a Tongan is um, ko eki tahape wafia ngia ye te family o te family mo oni. That means that God is more closer to you than any of your family, your blood family. And yeah, that was just a little story that growing up as a poor Tongan kid, and the Miss Nale, everybody knows about the Miss Nale, and so now it's just a celebration. I try to pass it to my kids that what the purpose is, and never worry about anything. God has always got your back.
How do you connect this story to the four pillars of Taha?
I connect Lototo and Tauhiva. Lototo versus that story of my father is that he trusted everything. He humbled himself to God, and with everything that he had, gave everything he had um, uh, to the church. And I think Tauhiva would be keeping his relationship with God. Um, him, working so hard to become the first Shetwata and building a church and stuff. He just kept his and there was only one road that he knew, two roads, one to his work and one to church. And to me, that was just like Tauhiva, that no matter, he didn't know any roads but those two roads to church. And um, Tauhiva, that means he's keeps his relationship all the way until he died. And a matter of fact, when he passed away, he passed away at home, and the first thing that while he passed away, he fell at home, and we found his phone. And the last person that he was speaking to that was on his phone was the pastor. And I think he was talking to the pastor about what's going on at church. And yeah, and that's his tauhiva with God, and all the way until the day he died, he's still tauhiva doing what the church worked for until his last breath. Um,
Our last question. How has this experience changed your family and yours life?
as the story went on, it changed my way of thinking. All the hard work my father did and in the past is passed to me, and I'm passing it on to my kids and stuff. That how important your relationship with God is, no matter what you do in life, and that you have to rely on everything. If it's football or any kind of sports on there, it's not. You just have to believe in all your wants and needs. He'll provide for you, and I guarantee it. And that's just something I learned from my parents, and I'm trying to pass it down to my kids. And yeah, Ofat.